afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Belfast Photo Festival 2025 and the Metamorfoza week. I'm really pleased today to be in the Vault Studios for a live webinar, and we have a small studio audience. Can everyone get a hi, please?
Hi.
Look, thanks for joining us. My name's Toby Smith, Director of Development, and I just want to say a huge thank you to all our funders and partners this year, especially the Adam Mickiewicz Institute for coming over from Poland and supporting us this week. This has enabled us to bring over 4 Polish artists, all of which are in Belfast today, and 2 of which have joined us here. So I'm going to let the artists introduce themselves, but from the Metamorfoza week, we have Anna and Diana Lelonek. Mm-hmm. And also, I was really excited during one of our earlier group shows that looking through the list of works, I was introduced to Marta's work, who lives here in Belfast, originally from Poland. So we've assembled this amazing all-female panel to discuss their work. We're going to let the artists introduce their work and themselves for about 5 minutes with some slides. Then we're going to get into a discussion about their work before we give the opportunity for some friendly, yes please, questions from the audience. So, great. I'm going to start with Marta. Here, the slides are yours.
Thank you. Right. Hi, so my name is Marta Dyczkowska. I'm a visual artist based in Belfast for the past 17 years. By the way, thank you for having me. Forgot to add that. I'm based in Belfast for the past 17 years. Prior to that, I lived in London for 6 years. So I've been away from home, which is Poland, more than half of my life. I graduated from the BA Fine Arts at Ulster University in 2018. And my processes are usually lens-based, which is photography and filmmaking, but I also work in performance, as you can see, and installation. So primarily, I'm really interested in a fine line between progress and erasure in terms of city landscape. So that's what I'm looking in my practice. And my work is really personal, and I know that all our work is personal, but what I mean by that is that I draw from my personal experiences and the experiences of Belfast community, of Belfast wider community. So for the past 10 years, I've been documenting ongoing changes that are happening in Belfast in terms of city planning, regeneration, loss of heritage, and loss of cultural spaces. And CAFE actually here commissioned me as a second collective to produce this first project. They knew me and they knew what I'm doing, and they really encouraged me to show this project. So on the screen you could see 9 cultural spaces that we have lost in Belfast in the past decade. So some of them were demolished and ceased to exist, such as Art School, old Orpheus building, or for example my local cinema, or a punk collective, Warzone, that existed in Belfast for about 30 years, but with the demolition of it, it ceased to exist. And these spaces are run by volunteers like ourselves. So once they're gone, they're gone forever, because the rents in the city center are unsustainable. They're too high, and developers are unpredictable. So Northern Ireland actually also experiences the highest cuts in the art sector. So it's really, really hard to work in that climate, being shifted from one space to another and not having really much resources. So this is installation that I was commissioned to make by a second collective, and it took place actually during COVID. And it consisted of videos and photographs, and it was presented as an installation of the spaces. I also conducted interviews with the spaces. So what I was trying to do with this project was to create like a personal archive of, or maybe collective archive of those spaces. So some spaces were fortunate to still exist, but they had to move east of town. However, they're in the same situation at present. They have to move again because the developer reached the east of town as well. So here I'm going to present the video, and this is the second project that I'm going to talk about, and there's 3 of the works. Everything changes, and I'm stuck as usual, trying to navigate the space, trying to maintain what's left. So this film was commissioned. I made this film with the Bridging the Gap program in Scotland through Northern Irish Screen. And really, like I said, my work is personal, so I kind of gather everything together. The regeneration of the city, a breakage of my marriage, and a letter to my friend who passed away in 2014. But with his death, I noticed that these changes started to happen in Belfast, and I got kind of obsessed with it. I felt that need to document the city that I fell in love with, changing at such a speed that I couldn't keep up with, and it's really hard to keep up with the changes because they are just constant and ongoing. So it was documentation of the Warzone Center that ceased to exist, honoring my friend who actually brought me to Belfast, and then sort of having a goodbye to the life that I led previous to that. And this work here, it's called A Tale of Two Houses, which is the demolition of Havelock House. Built in 1800s, it was during the Second World War. It was a troop billet. Then it became UTV television, and then in 2018, Artist Studios, where I held my studio. And it was very interesting dynamic because my kitchen window overlooked that building. So I was in my studio looking into the kitchen and feeling guilty not being with children and vice versa. Anyway, once I had to leave the house that I was living in after the divorce, and I kind of returned to the area to document the demolition of this house so I think that was my closure by now. By now I think I'm done with this area. So I work with the digital archive, digital film archive, and once again created an installation here at Volsola exhibition to document that. And I think that as well, I befriended builders at the building site and collect remains of the building. So yes, I think in a nutshell that's my practice, really trying to preserve memory of Belfast that I knew.
Thank you, Marta. Pass the clicker.
Thank you. It was really interesting. We'll discuss about it later. But okay, so now it's my turn to talk a little bit. Okay, so yeah. I'm Diana Lelonek. I'm an artist, the visual artist based in Warsaw. And in my art, I use photography, video, found objects. Also, recently I started to work with textiles and also with installations. But photography is really important artistic tool for me. And yeah, first I would like to show you the picture. It's because I'm gonna to tell you more about the project I showed during the festival. But first I would like to show you one of my pictures from the very beginning. It was a part of my MA diploma, and I took this picture next to the biggest steelwork in Dąbrowa Górnicza, which is my city, where I grew up. And I spent whole my childhood next to this big, really huge steelwork, the biggest one in the eastern part of Europe. So I think for me, yes, a little bit about the context. I always, when I talk about my art, I always start from this context because, like, mostly all of my artistic practice is dedicated to environmental issues, and also really often my works are about toxic areas, polluted areas, post-industrial kind of nature, new kind of environment that we can meet and learn about during the Anthropocene era. So very important thing for me, it's knowledge about ruderal plants. It's a kind of plants that can appear on destroyed areas, on ruins, and in exactly the spaces where post-coal spaces, post-coal slag heaps, closed factories, etc. And I am focused on this because I spent my childhood in this kind of environment. In 90s, there was a lot of coal minings that were closed, and also some factories that collapsed, and then nature back on these abandoned spots. So this is like long story short about why I do what I do. And now I would like to tell you more about one of my projects that I call Center for Living Things. And you can see the series of pictures I did for this project next to the City Hall. And yeah, it's really good exposition. Thank you for this. It looks great. I'm really happy with this. And yeah, basically, Center for Living Things, it was like a very long-term research project I did in between 2016 and I think it's still somehow in progress, but I think for me the finish point was when I published this book. It's a Waste Plants Atlas, but basically the project is dedicated to illegal waste dumping sites you can find almost everywhere in forests, around cities, around Warsaw. It's quite a lot of these spots. And I started to think what happens when the products, the products of overproduction in capitalistic system go to the nature and start to be a part of environment. And I was looking for something local and familiar for Polish people, you know, not something that you can find in the ocean, like plastic islands or something like this. So I just went to the forest and started to look at things there. And here is one example. One dumping site in Warsaw. And here you can see a few examples of waste plants, so hybrids in between plants and waste. And the whole research was dedicated to this kind of hybrids, this kind of relations in between plants and different kind of materials like plastic, textiles, computers, shoes. I don't know if I have a time, so you can just tell me that I should stop. Yeah, so you can see like a vacuum cleaner and this post-footwear habitat you can see here. All of these objects I found like this, and after I found them, I took pictures. Then I took them to the scientists and asked scientists to check what kind of species are on these objects. And here you can see the greenhouse I found in botanical garden in Poznań, where I studied and where I did my PhD. And this greenhouse was very empty, abandoned, and nobody use it. So I asked in botanical garden that maybe I can use it as a site of the Center for Living Things, because my idea was to create something in between artistic project and research center. So this was the site of Center for Living Things for I think around 4 years. And then I proposed in the botanical garden that maybe we can open the new department dedicated to post-product environments. And we did it. So for me it was very important to show this project not only in the gallery spaces, not only inside the art field, but also for the larger public. And in my opinion, in every botanical garden should be like a new department dedicated to this kind of post-natural, let's say, environments, like, I don't know, post-coal slag heaps, and you know, what kind of plants we can meet there. Because it's really, like, nature is really degraded right now, and it's really interesting to learn about it. And also this project, this is, you can see some photos from my previous shows, and also here it's like a waste garden I did for Tinguely Museum in Basel 2 years ago, and I think this is for now all.
We can dig into this.
Yeah, because I have a lot of things I can tell you about it, but maybe later. For me I think the most important thing was to learn how these different kind of non-human beings can find new functions for these products that are not products anymore because they are waste from our perspective. And it was also about their activity, their power, and their agency. So yeah, this is...
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm the last one. My name is Anna Zagrodzka. I am a photographer, but I'm also working with sound. I also create some sculpture and video. I'm trying to be between art and science. My education also allows me to do this because simultaneously I was studying at film school and also at University of Technology. So, for example, my previous projects was about sugar industry in Poland, and other project was about teaching art history through the slides and how the changing image from the slides, because it's getting old, it's getting pinkish, gives you like alternative history of art, because the image changed. But now I want to focus on my last project called Alternaria Alternata. And here is a small video.
Alternaria Alternata is a mold that was the most expansive organism during my first microbiological peregrination. It is the result of observations and then visualization of matter found in former extermination camps, including the biosphere developing there and the structure of constantly transforming objects in dehumanized spaces. My research is an attempt to reveal a phenomenon that can be called life after life, processes occurring in nature in areas filled with human death.
So, as you can see, the main actors in my project are molds. These photographs, they are not really like microbiologists want them to be, because you cannot see the conidiophore and other elements that can show you on what level of growth is this mold. And through these images, I want to show something that is quite dangerous for us, like Epicoccus nigrum causes asthma or some other, illnesses. So through that something that is so something beautiful can be really dangerous. So my project wants to show you that it's not the romantic vision of the nature. But also, it's not like every mold there was like dangerous. For example, that one was like for, you can get a penicillin from that. So there was a lot of these images. And I also create, because of the lens of the microscope, it's really small. So the images from the microscope are really flattened. So if you really want to watch on this, it's really three-dimensional object when you look through the microscope to the mold. So I create the sculpture that was presenting during my last exhibition at Instytut Fotografii Fort in Warsaw. Yes, and also my, because I try to document this on as most possible ways as I can do. So I started to photograph these places also by Polaroid. Why I choose Polaroid? Because I wanted to make documentation that won't be there won't be any ingerence from the digital, programs. So it's like one object, only one. And also I choose not Instax but Polaroids because the chemistry inside these images are like still living, and these images are changing through the years. The second material that I choose was infrared negatives, and also like a special filter that what's giving the heat is white. So what's have some life is giving you the white thing. Also, for example, in some places I also photograph, the nature that remains there. For example, this is the trees. On the right, there are the trees from Sobibór, and this is the last thing that remains after almost the last thing that remains in this camp. This is the wire that grows into the trees. And on the left, this is the tree from Grossrosen. And as you can see, this tree is like almost dead, so the people from the museum try to help that this monument preserve. Yeah, and in my project, I'm also interested in how the politics of conservation changed through the years in these places. And in some way, this project is like visualization how to the anti-monument of Oscar Hansen idea of the monument called the road through one death camp. So that's how I want to like combine these things. Yes. So that's all.
Thank you. So,
Thank you.
In absentia, Yvette Monahan sadly couldn't join us today. Yvette was commissioned by the Belfast Photo Festival to do a great project called The Ocean Within. Also has this wonderful interdisciplinary element. She's ill, couldn't join us today. I'm doing a hopefully okay job of standing in. One of the things I think, I want to make this a conversation now between us. We had this wonderful session upstairs in Marta's studio where we're full of energy, and I'm trying to get some of that back with these cameras here for everyone to enjoy after we've now shared all of our work. We're really interested in all of your projects as curators from the festival team, because I think all three of you sit in this space between different disciplines, like yourself, I think you identify as a scientist on many levels. Diana, there's this obvious approach to that, and Marta, we're learning of your work as kind of these urban processes that happen. So I'm going to let one of you jump in first, but what's the energy and the reason why you focus on your subject area, something personal about why photography plus is what you look at? Diana, you've just made eye contact with me, so I might ask you first.
I think, in my opinion, I try to still believe in this, that you can make even a little change using art tools. So for me, it's also a tool to talk about issues and problems that I feel that I agree, or I would like to talk about it because I know that they are important things. I am mostly focused on environmental issues, and also my approach is really research-based, and I also believe that art can be very good interdisciplinary tool that you can use, and through the art combine different knowledge from different disciplines. And you know, thanks to art you can mix it more, you can freely, let's say. So artistic research it's a really for me it's really interesting thing. And yes, but mostly I think that this is the tool for me, like maybe like through this I try to be also some kind of activist, or maybe art activist. You know, it's something like this. It's like a tool to talk about contemporary issues that we have, like the climate change.
And this is the segue. This is why we invited you into our festival this year, the main festival theme, biome, and with the Metamorfoza collection, we're trying to look at a kind of, not a Polish identity, but a Polish version or Polish artist working on that theme and finding parallels. Anna, when we've been speaking, I love the way that you feel like often you feel more comfortable describing yourself as a scientist who's then using photography. So maybe I should change my question. Why, as a scientist, are you then interested in using photography, and what does that do for you?
I'm more, for example, on the last project, for me was also very long term. That project was very long term. First images I was making like 2013, and I started the project in 2016. But the main thing that is like behind this project was research through microbiological and conservation materials, conference that I was writing there, listen, talk, and after I started also because I want to have the second perspective, like new humanists that also write about the same areas. And now I try to say that my project is more like visual essay, and I want to collect together this new humanist voice and conservation and microbiologist voice, because in some way they are talking about the same. So I thought that it will be interesting to come to this visual essay will getting them together. Yes, and my other project is also my first project where I was studying at University of Technology food science.
Not as a photographer, as a scientist, right?
Yes, and I was like writing my bachelor thesis about one machine in the sugar factory, and I was working there as a chemist shift. So in that project, when I was inside this enormous factory, I was like feeling like in this Tadeusz Piper mass city and the machine. So for me, it was so fascinating that I want to present in my artistic project. And I for like whole campaign, sugar campaign, because it's like from September to like January they produce sugar from sugar beets. So I was like observing this and showing this process, and I was like so fascinated that place that I really want to like share with others.
And photography was that vehicle?
Yes. And the video, and I made the music from this whole sounds of this factory.
Marta, something different. I think Belfast is a city under constant renewal, constant change, and I think your work looks at both that, almost from a kind of urbanist perspective and personal.
I mean,
photography is in what form is photography for you in that sense?
I mean, for me, it's documenting, but also what Diana touched upon. You know, it's documenting the changes, but also telling a story. It's also I draw on loads of anthropological theory or from architects. And also looking at it from the point of view of activists, because I'm an activist too. So I'm looking at social engineering, at neoliberal ways of how spaces are designed. You know, how we are controlled through these processes. So I think in that sense, my approach is very similar to yours. At the end of the day, I think we want to get to the bottom of some sort of truth through the process of photography, I think, and film. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Agreed. So, thanks for the coffee in your studio. I think I made it. We had to stop talking at one point because I was worried we were gonna not have a witness to everything we were talking about.
This building should stay as a building dedicated to art practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but that's a grim reality because we are losing this space very, very soon. So that's a reality. But also, can I just add
the context here is that sadly, this gallery, the studio, is as part of urban renewal, is when you have a moving out date, right?
September or next week, we don't know. So yeah, that's pretty much our existence. But also, can I add something, Diana? This was your slideshow was like you took me back home.
Yeah, because we met first time yesterday, and today we had a discussion before our this panel discussion, and we realized that we are from the same region.
Yes,
like from the Silesia region. Yeah, the biggest coal base in Poland.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go. And back to the link. Random segue. Britain ended its reliance on coal this year as well. So, which as far so, Anna, there's a certain way in which I think all three of you, in all of your conversations and in how you present your work, your references don't stay within photography, they don't stay within science. I don't know how you have all the time to A, read, and B, remember all of these references. I don't have that ability, but there is a certain approach and a certain writer, doctor, maybe professor, that you've quoted a few times, and I think she's been an important collaborator in your work, if you'd like to bring her in.
During my visit to the conference, I have quite honored met Professor Domańska. She that time she was working on this topic of the nature in this area, and also that year she published a book called Necros. It's a book called Necros, an ontology of dead body. And when I was reading that book, I was like, oh my God, it's all about my project also. So after we talked, the professor was really interested in my project, and that's why she wrote a text to my exhibition, and also some other texts about my work, and also she also writes about Diana works also.
This was the exhibition I saw in Łódź, but in autumn. Yeah.
The text was for the exhibition in Warsaw during Warsaw Gallery Weekend in 2022.
Perfect. Guys, some of the other questions you have for each other, bring them back up. They were great. There was the word that we kept on coming back to.
Attentiveness. Attentiveness.
Attentiveness, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the Professor Domańska text was about my work and Diana, that there is the approach like the
art of attentiveness.
Art of attentiveness. So I was like, want to ask you, and how you think your attentiveness is presented in your work.
Mm-hmm. I think it's that philosophy of care, isn't it? That we actually care wholeheartedly about the subjects that we work in. And I had this thought recently that in terms of, because I know that you're referring to the different work that you've seen online. So that was work that I produced during my degree show, and it was basically working after my mother's passing. I brought a lot of objects to Belfast, about 1,371. Oh yeah, I remember it well. Yeah. And basically I kept these objects for about 13 years. But through the research, and through looking at works of Arion Kudash, who show his work in Belfast Exposed. It was a beautiful exhibition. He photographed object of his late mother for 4 years in his flat. So in that show that you've seen online, after the research that I done, I realized that I'm actually prolonging my grief, that I wasn't done with the passing of my mother, and that the objects are constantly reminding me of the person that was and no longer is, because you find a jumper in the wardrobe, you see some old diploma on the wall, so I can't remember the researcher that did this research, but they came to the conclusion that to be done with the grief, we have to kind of lock it in tolerable memory in the box that you can go back to. But if you display the objects of grief around it, you can never be done with the grief. So that work was about parting with the objects that I brought from Poland. So some photographs were burned, and I remember my grandmother burned photographs, and I could never forgive her because I wanted to look at the photographs, but then I've done it myself, and I kind of understand the process now. So the sculptures that you've seen, I wanted to cast the objects. I wanted to be cast the objects, but then as I was shredding letters, burning photographs, I was producing more and more. I was like, I will never be free, from this. But then I kind of buried the sculptures that you've seen in Lagan Meadows, and I marked their position. So sometimes I go back and I revisit. So it was like kind of parting with that part of my life through that. So I think, in shorter answer, we take care with the subject that we work on. And I think it's apparent in your work.
And I like in your, also, when you show your presentation, I realized as well that from the one hand, it's about the architecture in Belfast, so it's about social problems and capitalism, etc. But from the other hand, it's always connected with your private experience and with your family background, with your connection with people, and it's really, and this is also the care inside. It's like very fragile kind of approach, and very also, how you call it? Aware, you're very aware of
art of attentiveness. Is that the
exactly? On this architecture through your own experience and through connection with people. So this is really nice approach. They are not only research-based projects or something like this. They are very, they are from your own
experiences. I can't work. I can't work in different ways. But and so does the landscape in your work. So it's the same thing, right? And the monument in your work, and then I think in my I also think that because I started to always talk about my background, because you also know this surrounding in Silesia. It's really amazing somehow, and really untypical. Gritty. It's gritty.
But I know that somehow I remember this environment in my body as well. And when I make a research for new projects, I always spend a lot of time outside for the field research, but not only for the field research, more for being somewhere to feel the surrounding, to feel it also by my body, by my all senses. And I think this is also about this awareness.
But I think we carry the landscape in us. I think my tutor, my professor said that, the landscape and the surrounding that we are brought up with always stay with us. And I don't know if you notice, I love to work in grid, and I've noticed your grid as well. This is landscape of Poland. This is landscape of our tower blocks. I think she was right. We just carry the landscape forever in us.
I agree.
Back to attentiveness. One of the things that I was really keen to do to bring Yvette in absentia and yourselves here today was to celebrate some really strong female voices in photography, recognizing that photography is improving with regards to representation or gender, but has a long way to go. And I think there's something about that, potentially that attentiveness, that sense of care, which maybe there's a lived experience or a perspective that you can bring as artists who identify as female.
I think for sure it's like, I don't know, maybe not for sure, but this kind of very, like this specific kind of awareness, like also connections, like in your practice, like you base on your family experience, etc. So I think this is something, in my opinion, very close to also like experience of being in a female body, like how it is. And I lost my plot, so you can continue.
I mean, we were chatting about this upstairs, isn't it? That having that, and this is not to be discriminatory to men, but obviously as women we have different perception and approach to our practice, probably, right? And this
probably
is where
we are more focused on emotional work, because the society also like push us to this emotional walk, there is one book really good about it. And in my practice also, I think the very important thing is I refer really often to ecofeminism as well. Like I think this whole reflection about how we can make our interspecies relationships more equal. It's also somehow connected with the thinking about how we can do our societies more equal. I mean feminism, for example, and some philosophers like Rossi Braidotti, for example. She was inside the feminist practice, and then she started to write books dedicated to post-humanism and how we can reorganize our approach to nature. So I think that this is very connected somehow, especially that in the previous times, in the classical patriarchal thinking, there is like a pyramid, and on the top is the white man, and the female body is always more connected with nature. That means that this is lower, something that is lower.
More primitive,
and more because nature is more primitive, so the female body is more connected to nature, so it's also more primitive. And this is, of course, like bullshit. But our Western culture is really in this kind of thinking, and in this very bad divisions in between nature culture. So I think we should redefine it. Redefine.
Yeah.
There's a place here I'm thinking that brings in Anna's work, this idea of I don't want to call a mold primitive because they're also quite dangerous, but a mold is a simple, relatively simple organism. Okay, no, you're going to challenge me, please do. But it's not the, we're talking about interspecies relationships, we're talking about subject matter. People often potentially, there's classical references of including the mold's effect on still lives of fruit bowls is the obvious one, but we were really attracted as a festival as to how mold became this multi-layered entry point to what is already a multi-layered, complex and troubling subject matter of yours. Please talk about mold. You know more about it than I do.
So, did you see The Last of Us?
I have seen the last one.
So
Yes, okay.
I think that you know, it's fiction, but it's a really complex organism. So I was like to have a possibility to learn about this in University of Technology. It was one of the most interesting things in my life, and I really want to share with this. And also because at this university there was a very big ongoing project that collaborate with the death camps, that they try to destroy the molds and bacteria, but mostly molds from the surface, but do not destroy this delicate matter. So when I was on the classes next to it, I saw this whole ongoing process, and I was like, but wait a minute, let's look about this life that it's ongoing there. And I also was like looking through the materials, how the conservation was done before, and now this like fight with this life is like on micro scale. As you are visiting these places, you cannot see that something is going wrong because everything is now in a micro scale.
And this was part of your process, I think. I like the way some of your photography is documenting with observation techniques direct from best practice of science.
Yes. For example, when you take some samples in the microbiology, you have to photograph the place, write the dates, the whole information. So as I was going to the same places over and over, I call this like my microbiological peregrination. And instead of like this normal photograph, I made this video where I'm going to take the sample and going back. And after this sample goes to the laboratory, and I prepared it's called preparat przeżyciowy. I don't know how it's in English. That from this special thing.
Looking at you, Marta.
Oh, sorry. God.
Really complicated.
Preparat przeżyciowy. It's a thing that you put on the glass.
Like a sample.
Like sample from the petri dish where you grown the mold, cultivate the life. Yeah. And after you look through the microscope to see what kind of mold, filamentous fungi, is there.
And these are our favorite works. So we installed your work with these amazing backlit panels in Botanic Gardens, which gives that sense of being microscopically prepared.
Yeah, because they have to photograph them, you have to put the light on the back. So when I was presenting this, I was doing through the old school slides or light box to give them the proper presentation. And I didn't say, but I choose Alternaria Alternata as a title of this project because when I've done my first, like this microbiological peregrination, the Alternaria Alternata was the most aggressive one, mold, and there was the biggest amount of them in my samples. Okay. So that's why this is the title.
Right, please don't ask your questions ready out there, guys.
I just wanted to ask you because I've seen your exhibition at the Botanic Gardens, and I love the concept of, science and art, but I think by default I was really drawn to the sites, to the photographs of the sites. I was wondering if you could... Tell us more about the sites that are in the botanic.
The black and white one. As I told before, this is the images made by. There is a special negative, like only for infrared light, and also you put special filter because I thought it would be interesting to show another layer of the thing that's giving you the heat or
Right. So that
living.
was the so these are okay.
So the black and white photographs are.
But I mean the site that you photographed. You were saying that this is a monument, right?
The Treblinka. Yeah, yeah. This is the. Because in every this DevCamps there were the competitions to produce to have the monument about this, and this is that was in the Treblinka camp. Sorry, I forgot the name of the artist that made this monument.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do we have a floor mic? Can we see who's got any questions? Josie, please, yeah.
I'll ask a question. Just as Toby mentioned, having this panel be very specifically around female artists as well, which is incredible to have a full panel other than Toby himself. But I just wondered, obviously you mentioned how it feels to be like a woman, female artist, but how, from a science point of view as well, have you felt any kind of pushback? Has it been difficult? Do you feel like you're respected in that field as well?
Yeah, this is. I have some different kind of experiences, and yeah, it was for example a really good experience and quite a good fun to collaborate with the Botanical Garden in Poznań, and like, of course, it was easier for me because it was the part of my PhD. And I was, connected with the University of Fine Arts, so it was easier to explain why I would like to do my research center inside their institution and why I would like to collaborate with them. And I saw that after some time, because I rent an apartment that time next to the Botanical Garden in Poznań, so I was there every day to put the water on these waste plants and my objects in the greenhouse. But later also gardeners who work there started to also care on these objects. So they started to also treat them as regular plants in the Botanical Garden. It was so nice experience. And if it's, of course, like, for example, this project became quite, let's say, popular, but more in humanistic disciplines. So there is a book by one Polish philosopher, Andrzej Marzec, who wrote a chapter about this project from the philosophical perspective. But it was more inside the humanistic disciplines, but with biologists there were some different opinions. Like, some scientists were very interested in this and started to see some interesting points for them as well. For example, one botanic with whom I collaborated, she found very interesting moss for her research on one styrofoam I found. So it's depend on project as well, because in different projects I usually ask about opinion scientists from the more from the biology or from this kind of field. For example, for my previous project dedicated to storks, and storks this kind of bird, you know, with the long nose. So in that movie I filmed storks that I met in the biggest landfill in Latvia. And then I organized talks with also ornithologists to, you know, get more knowledge about the topic. Because usually, even if I do a speculative project, I really would like to have you know, the knowledge about the topic. So usually I talk with scientists. And also when I finished the high school, I wasn't sure if I would like to study ornithology or art. So I am still a bird watcher, but I use this, yeah, like you see, but I use this kind of interesting through my art. So the art became like a scientific tool for me somehow.
Marta, thank you for hosting us in Vault. There was an amazing exhibition, including your work on the wall behind us last time we were here. Thank you to Malcolm and the tech team for this and our launch. We really appreciate it. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for Josie. Thank you to all our funders and supporters. If you're watching this in 2 years' time, I hope to see you at Belfast Photo Festival 27, 28, 29, whatever that might be. Can we get a round of applause, everyone, please? Thank you.
Thank you.